Well, boys, it finally happened.
It happened, baby!
Pour one out for Ten Hag. Pour one out. Pour one out for Ten Hag. Gotta give him props, though. Thank you for the FA Cup. Thank you for a Mickey Mouse Cup. Thank you for Kobe Manu. That's about it. Cheers to Dutch Heisenberg. All right. Enough hijinks, but finally happened. Erik Ten Hag's gotten the sack. And all I can say is I feel like Frodo at the end of Lord of the Rings.
Like it's over. It's starting.
But before we attend the Dutch Heisenberg's funeral, go ahead and follow me on IG. Trying to get my followers up to 5K by the end of the year. Let the bitches know. And yeah, before we discuss the present, let me go ahead and take you back on memory road and give you a quick little recap of Erik Ten Hag's time at Manchester United. He was hired before the end of the 2021-2022 season, off the back of an impressive tenure at Ajax that included back-to-back Eredivisie titles and a magical Champions League run, where he famously beat the defending champions Real Madrid 4-1 at the Santiago Bernabeu. He was yet another manager from the Pep Guardiola coaching tree, having spent time with him at Bayern Munich, and promised to bring a similar modern style to Old Trafford. Make no mistake about it, he was the most sought-after and up-and-coming managerial talent at the time, and most pundits saw him as the one who could possibly finally turn it around for the Red Devils. And he was not lacking in confidence, as during his appointment, he would go on to make this now infamous quote.
They play in this moment really fantastic football, both Liverpool and Man City. But an era can come to an end.
The irony is that the day he was sacked, Liverpool and Man City were still 1 and 2 in the table. But let's just put a pin in that for later. As for his first season at Manchester United, it was quite promising. Despite opening the season with 2 incredibly embarrassing losses, he weathered the storm and would comfortably steer Man United to a surprise third-place finish, a return to the Champions League, got himself a trophy in the EFL Mickey Mouse Cup, and even made it all the way to the FA Cup final, where they would eventually lose to a treble-winning Man City side. But all things considered, it seemed, at least at the time, that Erik Ten Hag might just be the prince who was promised. You gotta remember, a third-place finish was a welcome respite after an absolutely disastrous season prior under Ralf Rangnick. So most of us fans bought in. We nicknamed him our Dutch Heisenberg, and the optimism around the club was maybe the highest it's ever been in the post-Ferguson era. But now, with hindsight being 2020, I have to question how much of that first magical season under Ten Hag was actually him and his tactics, and how much was it coinciding with Marcus Rashford having the purple patches of all purple patches. You gotta remember, this was a season that he dedicated his life to feeding children. He had a career year. It finally looked like he had reached his full potential, scored something like 35 goals. He was just playing out of his skin, and it's easy to forget just how good Rashford was in that single season, because we haven't seen him get close to that form in over a calendar year. So without Super Rashford, I'll let you guess how Erik Ten Hag's second season looked. But I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. Running off the back of a successful debut season, he chased Cristiano Ronaldo and David De Gea out of town, alienated Sancho, and proceeded to bring in more ex-Ajax and Dutch players. And with expectations sky high, his second season at Manchester United was a tremendous disappointment. He even gained the dubious honor of having the worst start to a Premier League season of any Manchester United manager ever. The team would eventually bounce back a little bit, having a nice spell in November, but beyond that, failed to find consistent form, ultimately finishing 8th, and notably, this would be the lowest finish for Manchester United in the Premier League era. Although, miraculously, he somehow brought Manchester United back to the FA Cup final, and this time, through what can only be described as an act of God, they were able to actually beat Manchester City and salvage a piece of silverware in an otherwise desolate season. Now, there is a major note that did occur during this season, and that was Manchester United experienced a seismic change behind the scenes. The team was partially bought and taken over from the Glazers and given to Jimmy Ratcliffe and the INEOS group. And typically, when a new ownership comes in, they tend to clean house. And many thought that, yeah, they would go get rid of Ten Hag and put their own guy in, which made it quite curious that they felt that a FA Cup win was enough to go ahead and keep Ten Hag around. Although, it wasn't for lack of trying. They flirted with every available manager that would listen. But ultimately, they settled on Erik Ten Hag being the best option for the Manchester United project at that time. So, they let him spend even more money in the summer, bringing up his total to £650 million spent on new players. And fast forward to today, we are 9 games into the new season, and what has that gotten them? 1 win in their last 8 matches, humiliating 3-1 losses to Liverpool and Tottenham, and the bottom line was that nothing was getting better. And after you spent over $1 billion in players only to break your own record for the worst start to the Premier League in your team's history, well, I'm sorry, but this is the same INEOS group that has been firing everyone at Old Trafford. They sacked the poor kit man who's been there for 25 years. What was he doing wrong? So yeah, after this West Ham game, they were never going to be gun shy about this. But the straw that broke the camel's back was this last weekend, where they lost to, frankly, let's be honest, a struggling West Ham. And this game was kind of a microcosm of the Erik Ten Hag era. There were flashes of good football. In the first half, they actually made a bunch of good chances. But no one can finish on this team. They were like Mbappe in the El Clasico Clasico over the weekend. Completely useless in front of net. I mean, look at this miss by Dallo. Catastrophic. Some people are now claiming he missed this on purpose so that Ten Hag would get sacked. And if that is true, we salute you, Dallo. A true Manchester United patriot. So yeah, they had a bunch of chances in the first half, couldn't convert any of them. And in classic Manchester United fashion, the dam breaks. A little bit of a fluky goal, but they all count. And here's the shocking thing, Man United actually fight back. They pull one back through Casemiro. And that brings us to the controversial call, where a clumsy challenge by De Ligt gets a VAR call like almost 2 minutes later, and it's somehow given as a penalty. Actually, let's play a quick game before I show you the footage. Which one of these do you think was given as a penalty, and which one wasn't given as a penalty? Yeah. You might be asking yourself, how could that happen? And the answer is that the guy in the VAR room had fantasy football up on his phone. So yeah, VAR is just cooked. Absolutely double crispy fried chicken cooked. England, I can't with you right now. I cannot. But yeah, they're awarded the penalty, Bone converts, and they go on to lose. And not only did a dog shit West Ham end up leapfrogging us up in the table, putting us into 14th place, this loss also only puts us 3 points above Everton in the Premier League table. Yeah, that Everton, the one who's having a catastrophic start to the season. Well, Man United are barely above them. We're just having their season, but in reverse order. And we're sitting pretty in 14th place with 9 games in. But honestly, we deserve to be exactly where we are on the table. We're playing like it. As I said previously, we are a glorified Crystal Palace with very little hope of things getting better, at least before the firing. And yes, you could argue if it was a penalty or not, but regardless of all that, we were playing like dog shit. Absolute crap. And even we went on to go win that game or draw that game, what honestly, as a Manchester United fan, did you have to look forward to for the rest of the season? I'll tell you what, just boring, ball-crunchingly frustrating 90 minutes of football once or twice a week for the next 6 months as the inevitable march to death creeps ever closer. Before this firing, I wrote down, life is too short to keep watching Manchester United games for the rest of the year. Think about it. You could put that 90 minutes a week toward a business you've been meaning to start working out, or do heroin. Anything would be better time spent than watching Man United. And that is why INEOS had to make this move. They bought the club, Ten Hag was putting a dog shit product onto the pitch, they were hurting the brand. The brand's been eroding for the past decade, and if something wasn't done quickly, the ship could have sank. I mean, for God's sakes, we're 9 games in, and effectively, Manchester United is irrelevant for the rest of the year. And given the resurrection seasons that we are currently seeing from Hansi Flick over at Barca, with Maresca over at Chelsea, after their 2-year nightmare, all in way less time that they've given Ten Hag, yeah. Sorry, but not sorry. Sports is a result-driven business, and INEOS backed them in the summer. They got their transfers in early and often, which was a stark improvement over the Glazers and the Ed Woodward era, so they felt that they probably held up their end of the bargain. And the bottom line was Erik could not get this team to work. Now, in his defense, he would not be the only one to say this. Ten Hag joins a large and rather illustrious graveyard of famous managers that have come and gone during the post-Ferguson era of Manchester United, and none of them, including this bald-headed fuck, have been able to return Manchester United back to her former glory. So with that, they gave him the sack, and the stewardship of the club has been passed down to another former beloved striker, Ruud van Nistelrooy. But apparently, not for long. The breaking news is that they already have a replacement lined up. Ruben Amorim from Portuguese side Sporting has apparently been contacted, and Manchester United have at least expressed interest in activating his release clause. He is the new hotness at the moment. At only the age of 39, he was in contention for the Liverpool job. He's been considered as a possible Pep Guardiola replacement and has been labeled by lazy journalists as the next Jose Mourinho because they're both Portuguese. But honestly, beyond that, they don't share too many similarities. Ruben is more so known for his attractive attacking play style, an affinity for his academy players, and obviously he's done a superb job with Sporting. 9 wins in 9 games, 30 goals scored with only 2 conceded so far this season. And I'm sure Manchester United fans are salivating at the thought of those possibly being the numbers he could bring over to Old Trafford. So am I excited at the prospect of Mr. Ruben Amorim coming in and turning around this project? Sure. It all sounds good on paper, but I'm gonna look at you in the camera. Look at me. I'm tired. I'm just tired. Best way I can describe this, like being a Manchester United fan right now feels like being a 38-year-old divorcee. Like I've been through it all. I've seen it all. I just don't have a lot of faith anymore. And everyone talks a good game at first, but at the end of the day, all these men ain't shit. Because you gotta remember, Erik Ten Hag was the new hotness when we hired him. He was seen as a possible successor to Pep Guardiola after he left Man City. He was supposed to bring attractive, brilliant football back to Old Trafford. But instead of bringing balance to the force, he only left us in darkness. And I'm supposed to be excited for the next Jose Mourinho. Bitch, we had Jose Mourinho, and he couldn't turn this shit around either. But I will say this, my only hope is that at least we're under new ownership. If we were still on the Glazers, I would have zero hope. I would have zero hope in this Portuguese man. And I firmly believe this. Above star players, above excellent coaching, ownership is the most important factor in turning around the fortunes of a club. And yeah, under the Glazers, there would be zero hope. But we are now under the INEOS group. And the jury's still out on them. They were good in the transfer market. They're kind of assholes to the Old Trafford staff. So honestly, I don't know where I stand with them yet, but at least there's a chance. And with the sacking of Erik Ten Hag, we are now truly at the start of the INEOS era. Because you gotta remember, Baldy was never their guy. Ruben is going to be their guy, so they're going to throw their support behind him. I mean, they were good in the transfer market this past summer, so hopefully that signs that they got their shit together, that they're actually smart. And this move had to be made because this was untenable. Wasting yet another year under Erik Ten Hag's sludge ball. Frankly, I'm going to throw up in my mouth just thinking about it. So bring on Amorim. And you know what? I don't even care if he wins. As I said, I'm like that 38-year-old divorcee. I just want to feel something again, you know? Just touch me, hold me. We could lose, draw, fuck it. All I care is that we could score a couple of goals. Please be entertaining. Because the worst thing you can do is be boring. And that was the ultimate sin of Erik Ten Hag. He played boring, lethargic, knock my nuts up against the metal can football. And hey, if this Portuguese guy is shit, INEOS, look at me. Cut him loose. Cut him loose and just keep churning. You got to keep on churning through all these new hot young managers until you find the one. Until you find your Hansi Flick, your Arne Slot. Or maybe you wait till summer and, a Xavi Alonso and Unai Emery might become available. Because that's really your only hope at the moment. The squad is not totally bereft of talent, so maybe you go the Chelsea route. You just burn through as many managers as possible until you find a good one. Fucking lucky fucks. Yeah, Maresca Ball looks pretty good. I would gladly take Maresca Ball over what the fuck we've been watching for the past decade. So for now, let's go ahead and light one up. I know for some watching this is a sad moment because you very much, I mean, the show is called Hatewatch, and I'm sure you have enjoyed these past couple of years under Erik Ten Hag, and he will be missed by you guys. So for me, this is a celebratory cigar, but for you, this will be a memoratory cigar for all the good times that he has bestowed upon you all. So this one's for you, Erik Ten Hag. But anyway, cheers, motherfuckers. That's going to be it for me for this video. How do you feel about Erik Ten Hag's sacking? Are you optimistic about the Ruben Amorim signing? Let me know in the comments down below. If you did enjoy this video, go ahead, take a hard erect nipple, smooshing the like button right now. It only takes you a moment, but it helps me in this godforsaken algorithm. And as always, I'd like to go ahead and thank all my patrons keeping me alive and well. Special thanks to the newest member of the GOAT tier. Welcome to the Fat Austrian. I must admit, that did make me giggle a little bit. Thank you, Fat Austrian. And of course, salute to all the OG GOATs, Elm, Robert Matai, Peter Barr, and Movadoc. Thank you to Alex for helping me edit this video. And yeah, until next week, boys, stay thick.